to Football Now and the greatest living American, Field Yates, has his Mock Draft 4.0. That's Field Yates, and it's available on ESPN+. Before you see him, just know he smells that good. And let's dive right in. Cam Ward, first overall to the Tennessee Titans. The former Washington State quarterback, winner of the Davey O'Brien Award, is making history as the first Miami player to take home the ACC Player of the Year honors since the conference welcomed the Hurricanes in 2004. A dynamic talent with a rocket arm and the ability to extend plays, Ward's selection at number 1 is a statement move by Tennessee, signaling a full-scale commitment to reshaping their offense. Projected to go second overall to the Cleveland Browns is Penn State's defensive juggernaut, Abdul Carter. A unanimous All-American and the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, Carter wreaked havoc in the trenches, amassing 12 sacks. Good for 7th in the FBS and 2nd in the conference. He's the kind of edge presence that changes games, the kind of force that offensive coordinators lose sleep over. And how about Shedeur Sanders at 3rd overall to the New York Giants? The 2024 Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year rewrote the record books in Boulder, throwing 64 touchdown passes over 2 seasons, becoming the program's all-time leader in that category. Sanders is a definition of poise in the pocket, a quarterback with surgical accuracy, and a knack for thriving in high-pressure situations. The Giants, looking for a long-term solution under center, are getting a player with a skill set and mentality to thrive in the bright lights of the Big Apple. But let's talk about his Heisman-winning teammate, Travis Hunter, heading to New England at 4th overall. A rare two-way superstar, Hunter played nearly 300 more snaps than any other player in college football, the only one to average over 85 per game. The Patriots, rebuilding their identity post-Brady, get a game-changer who can impact the game at cornerback and wide receiver. That's versatility you can't put a price on, and the energy at Patriot Place is through the roof. Field Yates is here, and we're diving deeper into Mock Draft 4.0. 3 quarterbacks in the first round, and let's talk about Shedeur Sanders. There were whispers of slide, but you still have him going 3rd to the Giants. Why? Well, let's look at what the Giants have done at quarterback this offseason. They signed Russell Wilson to a 1-year deal worth up to $21 million. By quarterback standards, that's a discount signing. They also brought in Jameis Winston on a 2-year, $8 million contract. These are short-term fixes. Shedeur Sanders represents something more: stability, upside, and a franchise direction. Now, down at number 21, the Steelers don't have Aaron Rodgers on their roster, at least not yet. If that changes, so might their draft strategy. But as of now, Jackson Dart is the pick at 21st overall. The Ole Miss star shattered Eli Manning's school passing records, displaying impressive accuracy and mobility. With Pittsburgh needing a long-term answer at quarterback, especially with Rodgers already 41 years old, Dart fits the bill. Right now, the Steelers' quarterback situation is a mess, bandages and stitches everywhere. They've patched things up with temporary solutions, but they need something more permanent. Beyond the top 4, who are the players on offense and defense that could make an immediate impact? Let's start with offense. At number 6, Ashton Janney heads to the Las Vegas Raiders, and this might be the most seamless transition of any prospect in the draft. Nearly 2,700 rushing yards last season, 30 total touchdowns. This guy is a machine. The Raiders, with Pete Carroll now at the helm and Geno Smith under center, get an explosive playmaker who can change the game from day one. On the defensive side, the name to watch is Jalen Walker, the projected 8th overall pick to the Carolina Panthers. A defensive chess piece at Georgia, Walker played as both a stand-up inside linebacker and an edge rusher, leading the team in sacks each of the past 2 seasons. At 6 feet 1 inch and 243 pounds, he brings versatility, power, and a kind of relentless motor that Carolina desperately needs to revamp its front 7. But let's get back to the Steelers. Are they really passing on a quarterback in the first round? The belief around the league is that Pittsburgh is set on Rodgers, and if that's the case, they're out of the quarterback hunt early. The same goes for Cleveland with Kirk Cousins. The expectation is that they're locked in and quarterback isn't in their first-round plans. But what if that changes? What if a team unexpectedly finds itself in play for a falling quarterback? That's where things get interesting. And that brings us back to Shedeur Sanders. ESPN analyst Tim Hasselbeck had an interesting take, comparing him to Andy Dalton and Kirk Cousins. Capable quarterbacks, but not exactly top 5 material. That comparison? It's shade, no doubt. Dalton was a second-round pick who never won a playoff game. Cousins, a fourth-rounder, has one career postseason win. Neither is a franchise-changing talent. So is it fair to say Shedeur Sanders fits in that mold? Absolutely not. Let's set the record straight. Shedeur Sanders has elite traits. His football IQ? Off the charts. His accuracy? Best in class. His pocket presence? Unshakable. These are the traits that make great quarterbacks in the modern NFL. And more than that, he's a culture changer. He did it at Jackson State. He did it at Colorado. And he can do it in the NFL. If Sanders somehow slips in the draft, it could trigger an entirely new wave of quarterback movement. Think about this. What happens if he's available at number 12? Does Dallas make a move? What if he's there at 13? Does Miami rethink their commitment to Tua Tagovailoa? How about Indianapolis at 14? Or Arizona at 16? The domino effect could be massive, and this is exactly why teams have to be careful when evaluating quarterbacks. If they overthink Shedeur Sanders and pass on him, they could regret it for the next decade. There's always one team that falls in love with a player, and that's all it takes. Field Yates Mock Draft 4.0 is out now on ESPN+. Stay locked in, because this draft class is loaded with talent, intrigue, and more questions and answers. And as always, the NFL offseason never disappoints.